media manager, she always like, can you please record the meeting, just, you know, so she can also have information about what we're speaking about.
Absolutely. And part of that too is we're going to do a little bit of social promo for you as well, because you know I'm your biggest fan in the world. And so today, what I'm going to have, Gabriella, I'm going to have you as the taskmaster for note taking. Remember what I did for Rachel Cash just a couple of days ago? We're going to follow that same format, put together some beautiful graphics to really promote Lorena and the time she's taking today. So with that being said, I want to just kick it off. Your time is so valuable. I want to jump right in. I want to introduce our team really quickly. I'm going to let Emily into the waiting room. So just to go around the horn really quick, everybody's researched you already, Lorena. I told them to stalk you on Instagram and LinkedIn and everything, so they know the work that you've done. But I'm just going to go around. We have Rachel. Rachel, do you want to say hi? Rachel is one of our team members on AF Marketing who works with us on social media and project management. Gabriella, up in my corner, is say hi, Gabriella. She is a student at University of San Francisco, and she is studying advertising and graphic design. We have Tan Hang, who's down in my bottom corner. Give us a wave, Tan. Tan is a student at San Diego State University. He is a video master. He's studying marketing. And Emily is literally on the other side of the room from me right now. Hey, Emily. So we wanted to be in separate screens. And Emily is supporting us in social media and just general marketing advisement. So you guys all know Lorena from her overview, and I want to jump right into it. Lorena, you are and have been such an inspiration to me. Emily, do you want to put yourself on mute? Beautiful, thank you. Been such an inspiration to me, and in not just what you do, like the craft of what you build out and the designs that you come up with, but just being a woman in business. And I tell everybody this story, but when I first met you at Zephyr and you had come in to present something to us, and Chris, my boss at the time, was of course not returning phone calls, not returning emails. And you were like, I'm going to continue to follow up with you. I am the Mexican mosquito. I am not going to go away. I am going to follow up with you until I get a response. And that was so empowering to me. Can you just speak to your experience in business right now? Give us a quick overview of what you're working on, what your business looks like today.
Well, nice to meet you all. I'm just going to start with apologizing for missing, the last call. I was just talking to Amber about it. I was so embarrassed, but I really think that this is the first lesson, like to just show you guys that, things happen, and the best thing to do in business is to own it and to apologize and to speak the truth. And that's exactly what happened. It was just, I got the times confused because I am in Sydney at the moment and it's only 9 a.m. here. And so I immediately email Amber, apologize. I'm like, I'm so sorry. This is an oversight. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, speaking the truth rather than making up. So just wanted to start with that. So apologizing first. Just a little bit of that is that persistency. I think my generation, when I started in business, we had very few women to look up to and aspire to be like. And I think it's almost like being as gutsy as, the guys back in the days, that you needed to imitate the same way that they do business. And I think that's really how I started my business. And I started my business when I was 24 years old. So it was already kind of a big leap for me. I'm very gutsy when it comes to things like that. I believe I have a really strong message, and I felt like I couldn't work for someone else. I just needed to work for myself, but I needed to transpire that to my clients, really show that confidence, because, it's like animals, right? The people in the industry will smell your fear. And I think that's really from the very beginning. I was like, I could be afraid and I will be so nervous before a meeting, but then I will show up and put the face and just show up and then walk out and be like, oh my God, so nervous. But I really think is that level of confidence that you just say, the confidence of who you are and the daughter that you are and the sister that you are and the friend that you are, you do the same in your business and you do the same in your career. Do you want me to get into detail into like the business and how I started in the business?
Yeah, I would love to, if you could do like where you started and where you are now, because what you guys produce and what you create is literally like everything you post. I'm like, oh my God, this is like incredible. And we have a lot of people that are green and early in their career right now, and it's hard to see that path, right? So talk to us about what your mindset was when you started your business and where you are now.
So really, I started by chance. I mean, I grew up in a home filled with builders and architects. My father's an architect and a builder. So I was born into it. I studied into it. I married into it. So this is what I live and breathe every day in my dinner table. And so this is definitely my mission and my purpose and where I need to be in my career. Did I know this back when I was in school? No. I originally wanted to be an architect, and my father, being the architect, he actually discouraged me from architecture, concerned with the fact that I wasn't going to be able to own my own practice as a female architect, because there were not many female architects out there. And he said, listen, you're always going to be a manager and having a desk job, but you're not really going to be a leader and an influencer in architecture. So he was the one to introduce me to interior design. And that's why I studied that. So when you're in school, you're like, okay, I kind of understanding what it is. But being 20 something, I just wanted to design bars and restaurants. So you're not really understanding the industry and the impact that the industry has at large. So I fell into model home merchandising in the United States for a great designer. And I worked for her for a good 5 years. I started, I think I wasn't even graduated. I still had a year left in school. And I literally started drafting by hand. So my experience came totally from the technical aspect of things. So drawing and designing, not so much the fabrics and the fluffy parts of interiors, but more of the interior architecture of things. As I was working in that company, I just realized that I was one of those people that could take on a lot of responsibility. And I always outdid myself with what I could do. I was autonomous. I was self-started. I was self-managed. And I think that's really important to apply early in your career, because if you're able to be autonomous with the task that you have as an entry-level position, imagine what you can do 10 years past that, right? Like you're really going to be autonomous and like really impactful things in any business. From then on, one of the people in that company, he wanted to branch out and do something different. And he invited me to join ventures and start a business together. And I was very young. He had a different idea. He wanted to develop and design furniture and sell it to the market. So the initial concept of Quattro, which was the company in America, was to design furniture and to sell it to the market. But after spending 5 years in model homes, developers started realizing from my old boss that, okay, Lorena hasn't been here for a year. The design is not the same. Maybe we should go and hire Lorena. So the phone started ringing and they called me, and Chris was one of them. So Chris remembers this, and he remembers me being a junior designer and getting yelled at on the job site. And then eventually Chris was the one actually that said to my boss, okay, you can't blame it on Lorena anymore. She's not here. So obviously this is all on you. And he was the one to call me after that. And he said, all right, present an option for me, because obviously the good design that was coming for those years, it came from you. So that's why I was always so connected to Chris, because in a way he believed in me early in my career, and so on and so forth. I mean, it really is just the passion of putting yourself out there. I mean, this is pre-social media and this whole marketing thing, internet. So what we needed to do back then was more, face-to-face cold call network, which was nerve-wracking. I mean, I don't know if you guys go into a room, all of a sudden everybody's like twice your age, and then you're like, I need to go and make conversation for nothing, right? So it's breaking through that fear that really allowed me to kind of, again, gain more confidence in my position in the industry. But on the same tone, many times where I would present on a project, they would see me as being very young. And it was really discouraging for them to just not include me on many of the projects, because they thought, oh, she's too young. I mean, I even went to meetings and builders would say to me, like, what makes you think I'm going to give you my money? How do I know that you're not going to go broke next year? I mean, granted, it's true, right? And I would say, because I'm here, because I'm telling you, because there's a contract, because I have a business. And they will just completely disregard me because of my age. And it was, I guess, that bug that left me in my stomach that was like, I'm going to prove this person wrong. Like, I know he didn't hire me, but I need to show that I'm going to win a better job than his, and I'm going to rub it on his face. And I'm going to figure out how to, and this is where I've been told that I was brilliant at marketing early in my career, because I utilized it in the best of ways. So I would go and find a project and then literally have a mission to beat that man that put me down and then have the imagery and then send it to him and say, oh, look at this beautiful project that I have done, to basically say my project looks better than the one that you did with someone else. And that was really my method in marketing in my career. And, you know, 1 year after the next, it was a better project and a better project. And people started, you know, learning about my craft and, you know, I started growing naturally. But you know, at the same time, there's different cycles in real estate and there's ups and downs. And I think that internally, one thing is great to win work. Another one is to manage a business, right? So it's how do you handle two. So that just tells you a little bit of the phase of trying to earn business, but now to manage the business. Being 24, it's to hire someone that was your age, and you can be their boss, right? And you can tell them what to do, and not have arguments, and be a leader in the team and let them perform, right? So that was also a bit of a learning curve for me, because you want to be friends with the team, but then you also need to make sure that, you know, you keep the lines drawn so that everybody can perform at their highest level. And, you know, in turn, it's now you know, we all grew together. I've made great friendships. I felt really empowered by the fact that we all mentor each other. And eventually I became much older than my team. And now I'm twice their age. I am that person that everybody's scared to talk to at the meetings or at a networking event. And, you know, the people that work for me are those ones that are so afraid to really be confident. So I look at them and I say, no, get your guts, be confident, challenge me, it's okay. So in the US, with the going into the economics part of it, there's different cycles. And I started my business in 2000 and kind of drawing on the success of the boom of the 90s in property and in real estate. But it was the worst time, because in 2001, there was a crash and we had an economy cycle that was downturn. And it was very hard for me to start figuring out how to earn business and competing with the really big companies. So everybody just felt more confident giving money to the big establishment than the boutique companies that were afraid that we would go broke. So it was, you know, I was taking on a lot of jobs to pay the bills, and that's okay. And then utilizing a lot of jobs to help me with my marketing material. So sometimes you give up the glamour, but you always need to say, what can I get out of this? It's not a great project, but can I utilize this to make something good out of it? You know, can this earn me other business elsewhere? So that kind of took me out of that economic downturn. And then the company started spiking again. Come 2007, the bubble burst. You know, so many businesses went under, even big builders, you know, they went through bankruptcies, and it was a horrible economy in the United States with the crisis. And I literally let go of my entire team. I moved out of an office space. I called a friend of mine that I knew he had a big building that he was going to build residential property. And because of the economic downturn, he couldn't build it. And I said, listen, the building is empty. Can I move it to the ground floor for free? And at least you don't need someone to look after the building. And he said, all right, fine. So it's also part of like, I raised my hand, I asked for help, like, no, don't be ashamed, because you always find people that are willing to help and help each other. So he let me move into that ground floor, and I went to the employees and I said, I can't afford employees, but so I can lay you off, and I know you're not going to find work, but what if you establish your consultancy business and you're my consultant, and, you know, I hire you by the hour or I hire you by the day. And that's how I was able to cut back in a lot of my expenses. And at the same, then you go into like, there was no work. And I sat there in my office by myself and I thought, okay, what can I do? I know I'm creative. I know I have good ideas. And I was living in Little Italy in San Diego, where all the new construction and the modern buildings were being built. And I walked to all the buildings. I don't know if you know this, Amber, but I actually walked to all the buildings, and I would go and speak to the property manager. And I said, who's doing your Christmas decorations in your lobby? And they'll be like, I don't think you know this, but it's like, you figure out a way, right? I'm figuring a way to make a living doing something creative. You know, this Christmas was coming, no one was building, what else can I do? So they said, all right, yeah, you can decorate my lobby because, you know, my experience is merchandising. I can merchandise Christmas. Why does it have to be, you know, the launch of a project? And I literally merchandised pretty much every building in Little Italy and all the new ones that were downtown with Christmas decorations. And I would like be on my knees and, you know, doing everything myself. And it was really, really fun. And that helped me get out of that economic downturn. So you never know where that turn is, and it's always about being resilient and putting your ego aside and just willing to get, you know, your hands dirty and, you know, and do the work instead of just expecting for someone else to take care. And that's really what, you know, I can tell you 100 stories like that, but that's really what has allowed me to stay in business for 21 years, because those cycles happen, and it's how do you come out of those, you know? Obviously there's success with people hiring me from China after that one. You never know who you meet. So you are your brand, you present yourself. Even when you go out at a bar, just make your friends. The ones that you are partying with at the moment, who knows what they're going to be like 20 years from now. Like, I know my friends, I meet them now, it's like, oh my gosh, we did make it, you know. But I can tell you, I went to a party in Laguna Beach, and at that party, you know, having dances and drinks, I met someone that worked at Architectural Digest, and he was doing some of the booking for the shows for New York, but he was in Laguna Beach that weekend. So I met him and I spoke to him and I said, I'm a designer, blah, blah, blah. And he said, listen, the Architectural Digest this year is going to have a special exhibition for emerging designers. So, you know, do you want to submit your work and see if they get? And I said, I don't have any product. Like, that was the intention, for me to design product, but I don't have anything. Why don't you put some sketches together, he said, and let me present it to the board. And if they take it, they take it. And if they don't, they don't. However, if they like it, can you make samples? And I said, okay, I'll figure it out. So I sketched my first line of homewares, which was 7 pieces. And I sketched it literally by hand. And I presented it. I did a beautiful, again, marketing, very important. I did a beautiful packaging. The presentation was beautiful. He calls and he said, that's it, you got a booth. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I need to make this product. And I mean, this is very typical of product designers. And that's what I did. And I went to a carpenter friend of mine. I said, you need, you know, don't gift it, but don't charge me, don't make money out of me. You know, can you make this 7 pieces? And I also asked for a loan, and that's what I did. I shipped everything to New York. I showed it, and that's it. Magazines started writing about me. And that's what actually won me the job in China. So it's like, you never know, right? It was like that one meeting that I met this person that gave me that opportunity. And instead of me saying, I don't have it, I can, maybe next year, it was like, I will wing it. I'm going to Donald Trump it all the way, you know?
I love this, Lorena. I want to take a pause really quick to underscore, because throughout your story, the common thread here is resilience and opportunity. And there's so many lessons. Like, I'm taking notes here. A couple of things I want to highlight for the team. She mentioned something that everybody here has talked about: confidence and being young and being perceived as young. Everybody in this room has talked about that. And what the right action is to give your energy to continue taking action, not to be worried about being young. Because if you spend a lot of time in that energy space, it doesn't get you anywhere. As perfect example with that story of like being at a party and meeting somebody, opportunity comes when you're in action. And that is what keeps you moving forward. And you can't predict what the future is going to bring. Lorena didn't go to that party looking for somebody from Architectural Digest. She just went to go live her life, and she continued to capitalize on opportunities because she's a master of, I mean, she's a great friend. She's somebody you want to party with. She's somebody that's great at taking, you know, relationships. That's why I feel so close to her, and we have such a friendship. She is a person that is good at building relationships that are authentic, not business-based, right? The other thing I want to underscore: advocate for yourself. The way that she was making marketing for herself, every presentation I've ever seen her put together is literally like, imagine a deck, right? That looks like what the equivalent is to Apple packaging. It's fucking perfect. Everything is like, every T is crossed and I is dotted, and it's so thoughtful. And all of that effort comes together to be such a beautiful presentation overall. Also, call your friends, get creative, ask for help when you need it. Here's the biggest thing I want to say, and this is the next thing I want to ask you about, Lorena, is just kind of creativity in general, because every person in this room, Zoom room, is all about creativity. Creativity doesn't just come with producing work products. It comes from identifying opportunities and taking action. The Christmas story is my favorite one. I think I know of you. That is a creative way to do business. That is, and I hate to use this phrase, thinking outside the box, but that is looking at something and saying, I have nothing to do right now. What can I do? That's creative thinking. So Lorena, I want to kind of jump into where you're at right now. And as a creative woman, you are constantly, you're leading a team, you're inspiring a team. What is it that you do to exercise your creativity, to rest from your work, to stay inspired? What does that process look like for you? How do you stay creative?
I mean, I am naturally a creative person. If I don't have a job, I make one for it, right? So I see myself as an old lady just painting in my garage, because I'm just a person that needs to be, if I'm not creating for work, I just made my creativity my business. So that's great that I'm able to earn money off of that. But I'm creative with my daughter. I'm creative with, at home, I'm creative cooking. Like I just have to constantly create something that is beautiful, but it's what you said, it's the full package, right? It's almost like I think my creativity comes from storytelling. Like I have a story and I need to say it. And whether it's through food, through art, through painting, through my work, that's always a story in my head. And I think that's why I tie it so well with marketing. And then I see the opportunity. So to give you, do I wake up and I'm creative? No, but I just know I have the tick, right? If I don't have a lot of work, I figure out, okay, how can I, A, teach my team to be creative, and B, make up a job that will eventually give us some business later. So to give you an example for that project in Oceanside for the hotel, that's a good example. That I was calling the client. I'm here in Sydney. I already know he doesn't want to hire me because he's one of those people that likes to sit in front of the person. So I'm calling and can I present on that job? Because what I wanted was for him to give me all the assets to say, yes, you can present on the job, so that I can create all these assets to win somebody else's work, not his work. So I actually use him on the process instead of the other way around. But if I already know that he's not returning my calls, I already know he has no interest in hiring me for that. But what can I do to make it even better, to show him, you're a fool for not hiring me, because look what I can produce better than the competition. And then I'm going to take this here and tell people, look, the concept that I designed in California, because in Australia will sound like, whoa, the United States, right? So I grabbed my team and we're like, okay, we have to make it fast. So we figure out a budget and how to put it together and just kick butt. And we did it in a sense that he literally sent me an email that said, okay, the brief is, 220 keys and I need 3 restaurants and it's in this, old parking lot. And I'm like, really? Like, this guy does not want me to do this business. In that marketing, and I'm more than happy to share that with you guys later, I made it a full page in my marketing. I put the brief, and I literally grabbed the copy that he gave me that was like a small sentence, and I put it as a brief. And I just highlighted the number of the room, the number of restaurants, so that it sounded and it looked like it was like an appropriate scope. And then you are going to see what over there. Sorry, should have put that in. Sorry.
Good reminder. I'll do the same.
Okay, right. It's because it's 9:30, or my phone was going to go crazy and it goes to my computer. But that is really what we ended up creating, this package that was just so beautiful. And it's giving us a lot of macro content and a lot of micro content as well. I'm designing resorts here. I have been presenting hotels. So that one job that I didn't win, and we gave it 100%. We knew that it was because we were after other business. So it was, we had a comprehensive, target.
So what I'm hearing from you, and I think this is a great lesson for all of us, is when we're like needing something to do, or you're feeling that bug again, wasting time on feeling young, feeling uninspired, or can you take action and create an opportunity to be creative? And then that always is going to net the next thing that comes, which I think is such a good lesson. By the way, you showed me that presentation when you were in town last time, when we met at Panican, and it was my favorite thing in the entire world. And what the other people did was garbage. So she's correct. Hers was far superior. I also want to talk just really quick about Actually, let me do this. I could ask you a million questions and spend a million hours, but I want to make sure we address the questions of the team too. So why don't I turn it over to them to just kind of popcorn around. And then Lorena, I want to also just kind of hear like final thoughts from you and big takeaways, lessons, wisdom you would impart to all of us. But why don't we start with the team? Rachel, do you want to start with a question?
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today. I really appreciate it. I'm wondering maybe like what you would consider your most like proudest moment or biggest accomplishment of your career, or like it doesn't even have to be like your biggest project, but maybe like just the moment where you felt most proud of yourself.
I am going to be 100% honest with you. When I get emails from old employees that they said that they feel so prepared on the next job that they have, or that my friendship still continues with them, that is my proudest moment, because now that I've been in business for 21 years, to see them grow and to see where they're at, that I feel like that is my biggest accomplishment, to continue having great relationships with the people that help me build my business. That is my creativity. It's that I put them through the grinder, but they're persistent, put them through, and obviously I moved on and I'm not in America, and they had to go to different places and the different economic downturns, and to still be connected with them, it's what makes me the most proud.
I love that. I couldn't agree more. Mm-hmm. Tan, I want to turn it over to you. Do you have any questions you wanted to ask?
Yes, again, thank you for speaking with us. I know one of the first things I went on your website was I saw like your portfolio and your style of interior designing, and like I loved it. I was just wondering, is that something that you like developed over time, or is that like your own personal taste that you've just always had, you've always like worked with on your team, or is that you just like found like that's what works?
To be honest, I design for the end user, and I think that's a lot of the times like what defines the difference between architecture and interiors is that the architects are hired to say, give me what you think it's beautiful, right? Give me what, it's almost like a bit of an ego boost, right? So the architects come from that ego, the ego mindset. That's their business. For interior designers, we're all about the end user, right? Can people connect with this on an emotional level? Is this targeting the market? Are people, because there are designers that say, this is what I do, right? But it's like, I can't do that. I rather, if my client calls me, they say, I want French country, I'm not going to say that's not my style, because my style is bringing form and function to their look and their desire. So it's always just working for my client. I think that many times in my career, people said to me, your design is not great, or you can't really tell what your style is. And if I listened to those people and to put down work, I would have probably never made it 21 years in business. But because I was flexible enough, and if people said, I want a green house, even though green is not my favorite color, I'm going to make the best greenhouse. I'm going to design the best greenhouse. So what you see in my portfolio, I think, is just the level of consistency of form and function. I do come from the architectural aspect because I am a closet architect. So what you will see is when people give me 4 walls, I make something out of those 4 walls. I no longer, I'm not great at doing furniture and fabrics. I am better at thinking of the really big picture, and because I'm a storyteller, I have to create an interior and an ambience that tells the story in a single picture.
I love this question so much. And Lorena, this actually highlights one of the things you taught me a lot about, which was when you were showing me the designs that you were doing for I don't know what to call it. It's not called a retirement home. For the older population. Yeah. Australia has a huge aging population. And Australia is very vertical, guys. There's tons of high rises. There's tons of developments going up there, really to serve specifically that population of people, right? And Lorena was showing me designs of these restaurants. Do you think it was like a Michelin star restaurant? She's like, oh, no, that's in their space. Can you speak to that and like how you designed with that thoughtfulness, those creative solutions for that particular market?
You know, this is an interesting project. It's for a developer here. Their name is Waterbrook, and the property is in Barrow, which is a wine country outside of Sydney, about 40 minutes outside of Sydney. So the wealthy retire, the people that are looking to retire out of Sydney and go to the countryside, that's what they go into that area. So imagine they're living a metropolis with top 5-star restaurants and, you know, all the luxuries in the world, and they almost want to go into like their own club, you know, their own club Med, but they have all this money and they've made so much money out of their real estate that, you know, they're going to spend it. So they're going and they're like, I want everything. I want my nails done in my community. I want my hair done. I want everything private. I want a private chef. I want everything within my little golf cart experience, you know, but they're active seniors. This is not for everyone, but it's uber luxury. I mean, it's 6-star resort and the facilities are incredible. I mean, they have their own physiotherapists. They have everything in just one stop. So what was really interesting, because this is another client of mine that, you know, he said, this is the second project I do for him. And when it was the second time around, he's like, oh, you're going to have to bid on that project. I'm like, why? Didn't I do a great job in the first job? Why are you going to ask me to bid it with another architect? And he's like, all right, fine. But it's, you know, because I get in front of them, right? I challenge them when they say that. But I think what he's understanding now is that it doesn't matter that I was born in Mexico, that my career's in the United States. I come to Australia. I've been here for 4 years. I can design for the end user wherever that end user is, giving the correct scope. So trying to get all that information from the client is what makes a great product, right? And that's really what the client gave me. You know, he said, these people, you know, have a net worth of this much money. This is how much their property in Sydney's worth. This is where they dine in Sydney. And if they don't give me that, I get it, right? And then I design based on that.
It's so important. It also echoes back to, we had another speaker, Rachel, who's a graphic designer, who said the exact same thing. Her job as a designer is to, when they get the ask, find the correct solution. And that correct solution is informed by what's the purpose, who's using it, where does it live, what, you know, all of these things, whether it's an ad that goes in a magazine or, you know, a restaurant or, you know, hair salon within, you know, an adult active community. So I think that the lesson here is your success will always be dependent on if the end user can receive the product well. And I'm talking about like little things, little details, guys, that Lorena was pointing out to me. For example, like these beautiful kitchens, like, you know, beautiful, like clean, sleek, you know, European designs and Miele appliances. And there's a bar top and it's low because, you know, when you get old, you can't get up on a bar stool. And it's like little design things like that that are so thoughtful. There's no detail missed. And I think that's one of the many things that sets her designs apart from everyone else. Emily, why don't I turn it over to you for a question?
Sure, thank you. So you mentioned that in the beginning of your career, you faced some adversity as a young woman, like in a male-dominated field. Do you think that gender dynamic has changed or improved throughout the course of your career?
No. The quick answer is no. I'm able to manage it a little bit better as you, I guess, rise in the, I guess, hierarchy of, I guess, owning your business and having experience and feeling the same as other people. I think you just experience it at a different level. You know, I think when I was younger, it was because I was young, or sometimes you know, whether because I was Mexican or because I was a woman. I think you always find some level of adversity. And, you know, I think now to be honest, it's worse in Australia than it is in the United States. Like a lot worse. Like Australia is a boys' club. I don't know a single female business owner, interior designer in the property industry. They're all men. I'm the only one. There are people in commercial, or they're in a smaller scale. And I do feel it. And you know, this is part of the next chapter in my career, that I'm really empowered to give female creatives a voice. Sorry, no, I don't mean to just focus on the female creatives, but really teach women how to stand out. And I feel like for us in property, is such a dynamic industry. And creatively, we have so much to offer. And statistics show that we are the ones buying property. Statistics show that we are the ones buying for our children, the decisions in our family of the home that we live in. So why are men designing these houses if it really is a woman that's going to make decisions? I'm not saying that men be this I think women deserve a little bit more of a platform so that we, put more of that voice and gain the recognition for it as well. So I don't think that people are I've experienced both, to answer. There are some great female champions out there that are willing to just really give us a chance. And there's always the one that is more comfortable. Won't hire females just because we're females. It's because they are more comfortable working with men. So there are a lot of ego-driven that struggle with very strong females, and those are the ones that maybe I challenge. I'm more challenged to work with, because I can tell you, I have heard phrases of, Lorena, you talk like a man. I've heard phrases of I don't even want to tell you, like, it's just like, even like, they just feel more comfortable. Oh, I've heard phrases of, I'm going to put your contract under the architect, because if I don't like something that's happening on site, I want to call the architect. And I'm like, you can call me. They're like, no, because I want to be able to say F this and curse you. And I'm like, you can. And then he was actually really honest. And he said, I know that you can, but I cannot. It's like, I cannot literally call you and say, Lorena, you're an F-word. You know what I mean? So again, I don't take it personal, because I know that it's not me. And I know that they're not doing it because they're putting down a female. It is just of who they're more comfortable working with.
I think this is such an important conversation to have, because I struggle with this a lot, coming from, the environment in which I worked, which was with all men, and I was the only woman on the leadership team. And I tended to become more masculine in my energy, which is, that pushing, strategizing, like playing politics, like, talking shit, like not healthy, natural things that I would go to. And it was only until I became autonomous that I could kind of go back into that like flow, and like, I'm not building a business to make money. I'm building a business to have a life and create a legacy and offer jobs to other people. My mission all of a sudden became bigger than collecting a paycheck, right? So Lorena, can you speak to like that push and pull of like being a woman and working with men, and kind of balancing that energy? Because sometimes I feel like I really need to turn it on just to survive. What does that feel like for you?
I mean, that you hit it spot on, because I mean, one of the best selling techniques is imitation, right? You'll read that everywhere. If you want to sell, they said number one, imitate the person that you're trying to sell to. So that's why we have become more masculine in our way to delivering a message, because if we are more feminine, we feel like we're going to be treated more with sensitivity, right? And sensibility, and they're not going to give us those strong positions or those strong projects, because they'll say, okay, a lot of these men, I mean, they're married, they're in relationships. And then if you think about, I go back to, it's never about me, and it's always about that other person, right? I don't want to get into their psyche, but it's like, if you look at the imitation, so you have to study your target. Your target is your client, right? So I look at my client and I start asking personal questions so that I understand which angle to tackle. So you can tackle your clients in two ways. One, in the way that they do business, right? So I think there's like, I break them up into three. There's a client that it's very business driven, that is going to make decisions out of efficiencies and return on investment. So if you target them with, this is going to save you money, this is going to finish it quicker, this is going to gain this other value, you have that client, right? The second, go to him and you say, this is going to save you money, you're not going to win that client. You need to go to him and say, this is how you're not going to lose money. Statistic that you need to be like, no one has it. This is the best of the best. And then you have that client. And I really break them categories. And I go in, for a female, and I find out, are they in a relationship? Are they married? Do they have children? Because a background, what are the kids studying? And so once you know that, if the wife is it's a kids and all she does is go to lunches in the afternoon, you know what? He has the one woman here, because the wife is the one that just has the house pretty, and she's spending all like, I just need to come in, I don't lunch, not to say it, but like don't work, and then, or if you know that has a very strong female companion, you come in and they're like, this guy's gonna champion me all the way, you know. So it's really just finding that psyche in your persona. And
doesn't that just go back to the exact same lesson? Design or sell for your end user. It's so perfect. And I just want to acknowledge too, this is a conversation we've had a lot. So Tan, please know that we are so supportive of men in the workplace too. So I'm sorry, you know, we're talking a lot about women, but I want to acknowledge that. And it's, you know, you guys know I've talked about Chris Buechler before, and Lorena said also in the beginning of her career, he definitely championed her. He's championed me quite a lot too. I'm not saying, and Lorena's not saying too, that men are bad or men are, you know, are adversaries, but it's like, how do we work differently with different personality types? And quite frankly, men are just a different personality type than women. It's biology. So I think that that's a really interesting perspective. And
if I can add, Tan, just really not to single you out on that, is it's the next generation, your generation championed women. And I think I'm talking more of like the old younger generation, because there are so many strong females that are raising, you know, the next generation of men, and the future really lies on your generation, Tan, because when you get in a leadership role, it's, you know, champion women, you know. And I think you guys are. So it's not, you know, there's a great movement called He for She, and I love that movement. It's out of the UK, but it's about, you know, really men helping us really get to where we need to be.
Yeah, I just want to add also, like, I know you're talking to the woman, but I'm also learning a lot about like how to like approach like a workplace environment as a man, like how to work with women and like also clear towards men and women too. So I am taking a lot of notes out of this too.
Yeah, fantastic.
I love that. Thank you. I think just, you know, education and kind of just understanding that experience. And this is another reason, so grateful, Lorena, for you to share your wisdom with us so that we don't have to repeat the same cycles. We can learn from, you know, what's already been done and learn how to manage it. Gabriella, I wanted to turn it over to you. I'm sure you have a great question to ask.
Yes, I do. I just wanted to touch on this again because I found it really impactful in our last intern talk, but we discussed a lot about like the importance of having confidence and not taking criticism. Sorry, my dog, I think just fell there. I'm sorry, 1 second. I think she's stuck. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll just fill in for Gabriella for 1 second, but I'm glad she's bringing this up again too. And I will say, like, every single time we have a call and every conversation I've had with any team member, not just in this cohort, but cohorts in the past, is like, how do I gain confidence? So Gabriella, I'll turn it back to you.
Sorry about that. She like fell off the couch and her nails got to the fabric. So yeah, I was just saying like how important it is to have confidence and not taking criticism from a client too seriously, because it's not always like a representation of your own personal creativity. So my question is, what point in your career did you kind of learn to build that confidence and really prove yourself to other people in the industry?
I'm a spiritual person. I am religious, but I'm speaking about spirituality of a way to balance your mind, body, and spirit all the time, because I believe, and I don't mean to sound super granola with this message, but energy is really important. And sometimes you attract that energy. And again, it's not about you, it's about other people. But there are scenarios where no matter what, because that energy is so intense, like it really weighs you down, and you start bringing a lot of self-doubt when the feedback is negative and things like that. And you start believing in it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you stay up all night, and then you start becoming anxious. And when you meditate, when you bring no thoughts in your mind, when you do some positive affirmations, when you start realizing, when you grab a pen and a piece of paper and give yourself 10 great things that you do great, you're not going to be great at obviously. We're human nature. We want to have recognition from the market and the industry and our peers and our parents and our bosses and everyone. But if you don't give yourself that recognition, you're not going to gain it from anyone else. So to do with someone else. And the only thing that I can do to make it better is to work internally about how I can turn around my own perspective.
Thank you. That was really great advice.
That is such good advice. I love that so much. And I don't know if anybody here has a morning ritual, but I will tell you, I have a very abbreviated one, and it is the thing that makes my day so much better when I do it. Lorena, we touched on a lot of the things I wanted to ask you about, especially the gender dynamics and also just creativity and criticism. Do you want to leave us with any like final thoughts or wisdom? Like, what would you tell these 4 beautiful souls? That what do they need to know from you?
Well, I want to say that you guys are going to kick our butts. I see it with my team. Everybody nobody is 30 years old in my team, you guys. I'm like 46 years old. I'm so much older than them. And they're so much better than me. And they're so much better than me when I was their age. Technology, I'm not able, to be honest, I'm not able to do what I do without them because I don't know how to draw AutoCAD anymore. I don't know how to use any of the softwares. I'll be lucky to troubleshoot Outlook by myself. And the fact that I am so driven by your generation. I'm sure Amber seconds that as well. You guys are kicking major butt, and I learned so much every day from young people like you guys, and you are bringing such a fresh, new perspective to the world of how you guys are living and how you want the world 20 years from now. I know for me and my generation, I just try to conform to how other people's have set the world for me. And I'm very inspired by your generation and how you guys are saying, this is how I want it. So how am I going to make it happen? And I think just stay true to yourself, stay true to your mission and your vision and your purpose. And, that's how you're going to succeed, be resilient and just move on, turn the page every time that you see a door shutting in your face, and just know that there's another opportunity and another train's going to pass by, and trust that. Just trust your instinct. And that's really how I handle my business, through a lot of ups and downs and seeking an opportunity, making something out of it, and being thankful for the time that people have given me, and know that is very valuable.
Oh, speaking of value, that's just such a good nugget. I will say that is one thing I actually have it on a post-it note on my mirror in my room, is that holding the space is a full-time job. And that means knowing that another train will come and you will be fine no matter what the circumstances. I want to go around. Let's just do final takeaways, biggest aha moments, favorite things. Let's go backwards. Let's start with Gabriella on this one.
So my final takeaway was kind of when you were talking about how you have to make things happen for yourself, and they're definitely not going to come to you. Like in a moment in time when your business, like you had no business coming and you went to Little Italy, that really shows like perseverance, and something that like potentially I would want to do with myself in my career.
Great.
I love that. Emily?
I love what you said about when you're in a situation with maybe an older man or someone you don't feel is respecting you as like a young woman, to just mirror their energy and kind of do your own research and see how they interact with women in their life. So thank you for that.
Oh, great.
I love it. Tan?
Yeah, so I think what you really showed me was it doesn't hurt to ask, like asking people like how, if you can stay at their space for free, and them, like, the worst thing to say is no, or just asking if you can do their Christmas lights, and just talking to people, asking about like the man that you met from Architectural Digest, asking about his work, and then being able to build your connection and build your business from just asking people and just building those relationships. I think that's really what is important.
I love that. And then PS on top of that, figuring out like, oh, I'm going to make products now. Okay, yes. Rachel.
Yeah, kind of just like echoing what Tan said, but that story of you at that party just like really inspires me. Just like thinking about how opportunities can like present themselves at such random times when you don't expect it. So like just to always be ready to seize an opportunity when it comes, I think is like just a really good tip to like have in the back of my head.
And my final takeaway is this Christmas story in Little Italy. Like, I'm never going to get over it. That is just such an like a perfect display of perseverance, creativity, and business. I'm obsessed with that story. I'm going to tell it 100 times because that's what I do. I have like 3 stories in my library. That's number 4. Lorena, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for imparting your wisdom on us. And thank you for agreeing to do this. Thank you for your friendship. Like, it means so much for me to be connected to you and to see what your team is doing. We all stalk you on LinkedIn and Instagram all the time. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'm more than happy. I love, my thing is mentoring. So, make sure to reach out if you have questions. Even if you guys are wanting to put a letter together to someone or an email, you're like, does this sound okay? Because I know that's one of the things that is super nerve-wracking when you're young and you write the letter. Is this correct? Is this the right thing? You know what? Send it over to me and I'll be like, change it a little bit here and there. And I think that communication is the one that is a little bit the hardest part of starting in any industry. So stay in touch.
You're amazing. Thank you, Lorena. It's morning time where you are. So have a good day.
It's going to be 10 I think it's about 10 a.m. But I really want to thank you, Amber, for including me. And, I know I was the one to raise my hand because really I am so moved by the next generation of entrepreneurs and business owners. And, you guys are going to be the ones putting us in a home or not. I don't even know, so I appreciate what you guys do every day. And I appreciate you very much, Amber. And thank you for allowing me this platform to, share my career.
You're amazing. I'm going to download this recording and put it on YouTube. I'll send you the link, Lorena. I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Right. Thank you again. Thanks, team. I'll see you guys later.
Take care. Bye, everyone. Bye.